Hello and welcome back to another episode of Play and Learn. I would like to say Dia Dwit and Falcha. Dia Gwit means hello and Falcha means welcome in Irish. Hello and welcome. This week we're going to be reading a story called The Children of Lir. Are you ready? Let's jump in. The Children of Lir. Once upon a time there lived a king called Lir who had 4 children, a daughter called Fiula and 3 sons called Aoife, Fiachra, and Con. Their mother, the queen, was dead, and the children were sad because they missed her terribly. They missed the stories she used to tell them, the games she used to play, and the songs she sang at bedtime as she hugged them to sleep. The king saw that his children were sad and needed a mother, so he decided to marry again. His new bride was called Aoife. She was beautiful, but she was not the kind-hearted person the king thought she was. Aoife grew jealous of the 4 children because their father loved them very much. She wanted the king all to herself, so she planned to get rid of the children. She asked a druid to help her, and together they thought up a terrible spell. In the castle grounds there was a lovely lake, which the children spent most of their time playing beside. One day, Aoife went with the children to the lakeside. As they played in the water, she suddenly pulled out a magic wand and waved it over them. There was a flash of light, and the children vanished. In their place were 4 beautiful white swans. One of the swans opened its beak and spoke, with Fiula's voice. "Oh, what have you done to us?" she asked, in a frightened voice. "I have put a spell on you," replied Aoife. "Now everything you have will be mine. You will be swans for 900 years. You will spend 300 years on this lake, 300 years on the Sea of Moyle, and 300 years in the Isle of Glora. Only the sound of a church bell can break the spell." When the children did not come home that evening, the king went to look for them by the lake. As he came near, 4 swans swam up to him. He was amazed when they began to call out. "Father, father," they cried, "we are your children. Aoife has placed a terrible magic spell on us." The king ran back to the castle and pleaded with Aoife to change the swans back into children, but she refused. Now he saw how selfish she was and banished her from the kingdom. Lir promised a reward to anyone who could break the spell, but nobody knew how. Lir spent the rest of his life beside the lake, talking to his children until he grew old and died. The swans were heartbroken. They no longer talked or sang, and nobody came to see them. 300 years passed, and it was time for the swans to move to the cold and stormy Sea of Moyle, between Ireland and Scotland. The poor swans were tossed about by the wild waves and dashed against sharp rocks. It was a harsh life with little food, and the years passed slowly. When the time came for them to fly to the Isle of Glora, the swans were old and tired. Although it was warmer on the island, and there was lots of food, they were still very lonely. Then one day, they heard the sound for which they had waited 900 years. It was the sound of a church bell. The bell was ringing in a tower of a little church. An old man, called Cavog, stood outside. He was amazed to hear the swans talking and listened to their sad story in astonishment. Then he went inside the church and brought out some holy water, which he sprinkled on the swans while he prayed. As soon as the water touched them, the swans miraculously began to change into an old woman and 3 old men. Lir's children were frightened. Cambog told them about God and his love for all people. They no longer felt scared. Fiula put her arms around her brothers, and all 4 old people fell to the ground dead. Cambog buried them in one grave. That night he dreamed he saw 4 swans flying through the clouds, and he knew that the children of Lir were at last on their way to heaven to be with their mother and father again. I hope you enjoyed that story, and if you did, be sure to come back next week where we'll learn a new word from the Irish language and make a craft. Until next time, it's time for me to say slán. Slán means goodbye in Irish. Slán! See you next time.